Hello everyone, today we are going to talk about behavioral observations in clinical psychology. Turn on your captions if you have any trouble following along, and let's get started. Behavioral observation is a major part of psychology. We study about it in our first semesters of psychology as well. We get to observe behavior through a scientific lens, following which we can explain the same. An explanation of the same can lead to prediction of when that behavior would repeat itself and also give us some idea as to how to control it. It is important in assessment as well, about which we have talked about in one of our previous videos. Behavioral observation makes up an important part of clinical psychology. You're currently seeing a proper definition of behavioral observation on your screen. You may pause the video to have a look at it and note how the words reliable and valid play an important role. Controlled observation, as the name suggests, is controlled by the experimenter to a greater degree. It usually takes place in a lab and is standardized, and hence is more generalized since it can be replicated. It is easier to gather reliable results from such an observation. It is usually non-participant, which means that the experimenter avoids coming into contact with the subjects, and it is also overt, which means that the subjects know that they are being studied. Sadly, knowing that you are being studied makes you change your behavior so that you can appear in a particular light, something we know as the Hawthorne effect. That means this method has low ecological validity because we don't know whether people would have acted out the same way had they been in their natural environment and the same situation would have been presented to them. Researchers use codes for studying behavior in a controlled observation. Since the behavior being studied are properly demarcated and hence the codified behavior can be given a number across a scale. That means it is easier to evaluate once we have collected the data. It is also faster than naturalistic observation, as we will see in a minute, and we can control intervening variables to finally arrive at a cause and effect relationship between multiple variables. Naturalistic observation is the complete opposite of controlled observation. People are being studied in their natural environment and sometimes in participant observation. The researcher becomes a part of the group which is being studied in order to understand the interactions between subjects in a better manner. Of course, since this method evaluates spontaneous behavior, codification of behavior is not possible. On top of that, it has more ecological validity because we are studying subjects in their natural environment. It helps us understand the multiple factors which will influence a person's behavior in a natural setting. The problems are that the results cannot be generalized because there are too many variables and they are all uncontrolled. Thus, a proper cause-effect relationship is hard to establish. This makes such observations less reliable. Another problem is that the researchers can get confused as to which behavior should be noted and studied amongst the plethora of behavior being depicted by their subjects. So the previous two cases were cases which we have encountered before, but here's something new, the idea of self-monitoring. It was developed by Mark Snyder in 1974, who sought to resolve a debate which was going on between social and personality psychologists. The problem was the extent to which personality traits and social situations affect one's behavior, and also the disparity between internal attitude and external behavior. Mark came up with the idea of self-monitoring in order to solve these issues. Basically, self-monitoring is a trait which people possess and it decides how much someone will take care of the image they present to others. Mark talks about people with low and high self-monitoring. Those with high self-monitoring care about how they appear to others more and hence behave more in line with the social situation, regardless of how they feel inside. People with low self-monitoring behave as per their personality, with little regards to social cues. The self-monitoring scale has three components: acting, extroversion, and other directedness. I'm not going into these three components since there is a lot of debate centered around self-monitoring itself and whether it can even be differentiated from extroversion itself. Intuitively, a person with high self-monitoring would show greater variation in their behavior because they will always try to adapt to social situations. They are prone to more casual but shallow relationships and are more likely to judge a person on the basis of how the other person presents himself. They like advertisements which talk of products helping them appear a certain way in a certain situation. If owning a trimmer is associated with having a pretty girlfriend in an advertisement, they want it simply to appear as if they have a pretty girlfriend. The low self-monitors are the complete opposite. Low variation in behavior, tight and long-lasting relationships, not prone to judging you on the basis of how you carry yourself, and would rather look at an advertisement talking about the utility of a product. That's all for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and see you next Monday.